Hello, this is the Amazing Piggy with That OCD Thing. Today we are going to learn how to clean an essential oil diffuser. You know what these are. Plug them in, you put water in them, you put essential oils, then turn them on, and without having to use steam, it uses a diffusing element that makes the house smell good because it distributes the scent. So what we need to do is get into this thing. The problem with these is that after a little bit of use, the essential oil actually gets gummed up in the system. And that's just the nature of the oil. It's an oil, and when you condense something or otherwise modify it so that it disperses, you're going to have some leftover residue. And the leftover residue is the problem here, because that gets up on the diffusing element, and then it doesn't work anymore. And you turn it on, you put stuff in it, you turn it on, it doesn't make the house smell good. You don't see anything coming out of it. Usually you see the little vapor coming out of it. So what we have to do is pull this thing apart carefully, get it unfunky. And so there are a couple of steps. First step is obviously to unplug it. Now, one thing to keep in mind, if you've got a relatively new one and it's still under warranty, you're not going to probably want to just dive in and start going at it with a meat hook, because that could void your warranty. If you want to talk to the manufacturer and see if they'll fix it or give you some idea of what to do, then that's a great idea. We have had these for less than a year, and we use them throughout the house. Use them on a regular basis, and they do get a little funky. I like to just clean things myself because that's me and my OCD. So let's take a look at this one. This is a Pure Enrichment from Pure Spa aroma diffuser and humidifier. So let's dig into it and see what we've got. So that's the decorative lid, and then we have the lid of the actual compartment that holds the water, and that's a little funky, so we definitely need to get in there and clean that up. Now, what we want to do is we want to make sure that you always want to start out, make sure that you don't have any fluid in there. This has got a little bit of residual fluid, but it's not anything that is going to end up in the electronic guts, the sensitive parts that don't do well with water. So in our case we're okay, but make sure that that's the situation for you as well. We're going to get a little screwdriver. These screwdrivers, this one, usually with these diffusers they have many times a little bit of a reach to get in there. These aren't tiny little screws, but I brought a tiny little screwdriver with different attachments in case I need it. So let's take this apart. Got 3 screws to pull out. There's 1, 2, 3. Get those out of there. And I like to put my, whenever I'm taking something apart, I know I need to put it back together. I put my screws in the order. I'll put, first ones, second ones, third ones, and that way I know I can go backwards and keep track of which ones came from where. Okay, so this is already ready to come apart, and if you see what I mean, we have a lot of stuff going on in here, and most of it has to do with, the on and off switching, little heat sink there, electronics. I'm not a wizard with electronics, but I know enough to not mess with things that I don't know the details about. So we've got a couple of things going on here that we need to undo the right way so that we can redo when it's time to put it back together. Since we want to clean up this stuff down here, we need to take out these two pins, and you're going to want to just make sure that you're not putting too much pressure on something. If it's got a little clip or whatever, just pay attention, because taking it out the right way might need a little bit of encouragement with a screwdriver or whatever, but you don't want to just pull on stuff. Obviously, everything can go completely crazy. Alright, so we've got one screw that's holding in this outer ring. This outer ring looks like it might be like a color. Yes, it is. There are our LEDs, and then this is the actual diffuser element down at the bottom. Let's get that open, get that out of there. There's one screw. It looks like those screws are all using the same screws, but I still keep them separate in their separate piles because that's just kind of the crazy guy that I am. Okay, so a little retaining thing, and we have to remember which side is up. So this was the convex side of it. Concave was the part that was sticking down on it, so I'm going to put it that way I know. I'm going back. Okay, and just like on some of the other ones that I've taken apart, it has a soft little basically an O-ring gasket holder for this, because it has to keep all the water from going from top side to bottom side. But this particular element needs to, on one side only, connect with the water and the essential oil. So what we need to do, kind of getting an idea of where our stuff is, if there are any. Yeah, so if you look right here, I don't know if you can see it in the video, but right there is an indexing notch, and what we need to do is just make sure that when we put it back together, our wires are sticking out at that indexing notch side. So let's we can either pull this out directly. Yep, it comes right out. So we pull that out. Now there's our most important part right there, and it is funky. So we're going to put this to the side. We got to do some cleaning on that. This here, there are two parts to this still. It's our outer soft gasket, I guess, holder. And then if you pull these apart, you can kind of see that will slip right out because there's a little notch inside where that actually fits. So we're going to put that to the side. And now this is the important part right here. Okay, where's my... No, that's regular water. Where's my vinegar? Yep, stinky vinegar. Alright, so what I'm doing, basically I'm just getting a Q-tip, dipping it in the vinegar, stinky vinegar, and then, whoa, see, most of that crap's coming right off because, yowza. Alright, that was actually easier than the last one I cleaned. The last one was thick and it really stuck to it. It was kind of like beeswax, and so you might end up with yours like that. Now, because of the fact that this has, the possibility of a little bit of seepage, what you will probably want to do is just get another vinegar and clean that up a little bit. And then, I wouldn't go nuts, but just kind of hit it. And then I can basically sandwich it between two pieces of paper towel and not really go nuts with it. You want to be careful, but I have basically made sure that it's about as dry and clean as I can get it without manhandling it. Alright, so I'm going to put that right there. Next thing is this little washer, this little gasket thingamajig, and we're basically, you know, we got little chunks of nastiness that are stuck in there. So what we want to do, without doing any damage, we cannot damage this little gasket, because if we do, then we're totally hooped. This is what keeps the water out, so without which you will have to basically just chunk it, get a new one, because otherwise you're going to have electricity mixing with water, which is never a good thing. Okay, that seemed to clean up pretty well, pretty quick. Have some funk in here. Hopefully it's all, you know, of the same viscosity, which it looks like, and it's coming off fairly easy. So that's just disgusting. Yeah, anytime you have water, you're gonna have crap that builds up around it. Let's see here. Let's just get a piece of bigger paper towel, otherwise we're going to be going to town with that thing all day if we try to use the Q-tips. So we're just going to go in there and clean it up. Now, this part is a little stiffer than that tender little O-ring, so you can, you know, don't worry too much about getting in there and getting it's going to take. But because that element does not like to have crap on it, the way it works is it just vibrates. From everything I understand, and I could be wrong, and if you know better about how these work, but what I understand is that these things vibrate at such a high frequency that is what actually makes the water turn into a vapor. So it's pretty cool. So you don't have to boil it. You don't have, you know, a bunch of steam in your house making it all hot. Just basically the same way, I think, as one of those vaporizers that you would get if your kids are sick and you need to get their lungers out of there. Okay, so far so good. This has been a fairly easy cleanup. Like I said, my other one was just, it was just nasty as can be. So this is going to be, let's go in and just kind of see if we can dig that baby out a little bit. What is that? Okay, yeah, that did pull off. And lucky for me, I didn't break it, but I very well could have broken that guy. So what I'm going to do, it's very narrow inside there. And I can't shove a whole Q-tip thing in there. I might be able to, but it's possible I could break it. So I'm just going to go with the tip of it. And can we do anything with that? Can we? I don't know. Let's see. It seems to be like in crevice or something. Someplace where it can't quite get to it. So the question at hand, boys and girls, is whether or not that is going to make any damn difference. And I am, you know, just out of sheer confidence, I'm going to say probably not going to make a big difference in how it performs. Our infusing element at the bottom, that's where the rubber meets the road. Let's see, there's some other places on here that I can get some of this funk out. So, defunked, good. Now, let's get this thing kind of back together and ready to rumble. Alright, did we clean this up? Yes, we did. And so, step one is to get our diffuser back into the element the way we had it. Now, we know that the wires were coming out of the back, right? So we don't want to put it in this way. We want to put it in this way, because that part is what's going to face up. Put it in this way, and then it's going to be on the underside of it. I think you follow. I don't have to belabor that too much. So without you know, allowing my big, huge oven mitts to just yank this thing into tiny bits, I have slid that back into it. It's nice and pliable, and it looks like this is a commonality with almost all diffusers, is having this nice soft rubber gasket, bushing, whatever holder. So this seems to be very common to have them like this, because my other ones are different, completely different brand. If I were to take this piece out, it looks exactly like this. So let's move on, shall we? We again found our little index right there, and because it's nice and soft, that just pushes right back down in there, just so very nice. And then this, we said, concave part was towards the infuser. And I always remember, I have my little memory tricks. Concave means something that is dug out. Like a cave has a void in it. That means it's dug out. Or, you know, it's in other words, it's that shape. So when I think of concave, that means that I'm looking into something. Convex is the opposite. I don't have a memory thing for that, but that's how I keep them straight. All right. So, okay. Let's put this thing back together. We'll put our little holder on there. Now, don't go in here with 50 pounds of metric torque and crank on this thing. You know, I have to be careful because I get these big old paws, but just get it in there to where it's nice and seated. There's no reason to show it who's boss. Okay, now we know that we want our little lights to go up, and it looks like these two, this hole here and this hole there, fit on these two pins. Just by eyeballing it, that's what we look like. So I'm going to rattle that around it, go in underneath it, and then position those like that. And then the middle one is where our, let's see, is that supposed to go on the outside? Almost seems like this is supposed to be out around the outside. I don't know. Probably doesn't make any damn difference. Okay, so screw that thing back in. Again, just a little bit of pressure, a little bit of torque, just to keep it in place. Alright, now what we have to do is we have to get these babies plugged back into where they went, and they are two different. This one is a 3, that one's a 3 plug, and that one's a 2 plug, so easy to keep them straight. On yours, just make sure that you know where you're going. The other thing is, make sure that you have your little indexing. Those little guys right there are the little indexing nuggets, for lack of a better term, and they go right in the 2 little indexing slots. Okay, now we're just going to push that down just far enough to hold it and make it happy. Again, we got an indexing nugget, to use a newly coined term, and we've got that down there. Now, what we want to do is, it looks like they made it so that you can seat these right down in there, and you're pretty much good to go once you're, but it looks like they are, yeah, these two are closer together than this is from either one, so it's not a what you call a perfect triangle. It is, we had to match them up to where they actually fit. Okay, so now we have screws that need to go back in. And see, this is the fascinating part, watching me screw all 3 screws back in. I know that it's gripping television. Alright, we are good there. Get all this nastiness out of the way. Okay, so stinky vinegar, away with you. Water. We don't need that crap anymore, so we are going away with it. Alright, so we are going to fill this back up. Max line, you can see that, see, it says max. Whoever max is, he knows what he's talking about. Alright, fill that up. And even after cleaning it up, you can still see there's a little tiny film of the oil that was in there before, which is totally fine. But we're going to put some orange. 1, 2, 3, 4 for good measure. I like orange. I love how orange smells. And so that's my favorite. I should have plugged this in before. Oh, yeah, it's in the back. It's not at the bottom. So plug that in. Put this on the top. This is where we see if the Amazing Piggy knows what he's talking about or if he's just totally full of crap. Let's plug this in and see what happens. Alright, the magic button. Do we have? Yep, we have little wisps. Look at that. Alright. Oh, the lovely scent of orange and citrus. I do love it. Okay, that's... Oh, it's got the little light function too. You see that? Kind of switching the light, blue to yellow to red. Kind of cool. Okay. Alright, I hope you liked this video. I hope you found it helpful. I'm the Amazing Piggy. If you'd like, click on subscribe. If you like this video, click on the thumbs up. If you have any comments or if you know anything more about these that might help me or some of the other viewers, please leave comments. Happy to look them over, and I appreciate it's kind of a community effort. This is the Amazing Piggy. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.